Welcome back to the Krell Laboratories podcast. I am joined today by Jenni Shwanner, a former DJ and host of the Leopard Print Lounge in Madison, Wisconsin, and also a former theatrical costume designer. I am also rejoined by Maurya, who is a former reviewer for cult films, has been published in Horror 101 and Hidden Horrors, and operates their own blog, Bemused and Nonplussed. And today we are talking about the movies and Mr. King. We will also stray a little bit into other things that are King related. So I think we'll start by recounting our first encounters with Stephen King. And I'm just going to pass that over to you, Jenni.
Oh, okay. Well, way back in the 70s, sorry, Stephen King was always in my family. And my earliest memory, get this, little precocious 4-year-old me is sitting on the couch with my dad, and my dad is reading The Shining. And I had no idea what any of that was about. I just was sitting, "Hi, Daddy, what are you reading?" And he said, "Oh, I'm reading this book, The Shining." I'm like, "What's it about?" He goes, "Oh, it's a scary hotel." I was like, "Okay. Can you read me some?" And so he's like, "Okay." So he starts reading a little bit of it. And of course, it's the section with Jack Torrance's inner monologues, and it's got a lot of swear words. And so he didn't know that little 4-year-old me knew how to read swear words. And I knew he was leaving them out. So that was the beginning. My dad was into sort of reading my sister and I a lot of horror stuff, and Edgar Allan Poe he started with, and then we went into King, and by age 7 I was already reading Salem's Lot.
Oh my.
I was precocious, and I've been reading him ever since. I think I kind of fell off a little bit when he started doing stuff like Dolores Claiborne, Rose Madder. Lacey's Story did not grip me. But then I kind of went back. I go back and forth. I do like his current stuff that's a little more sort of mystery thriller oriented as well. So I've always had a Stephen King novel in my life somewhere.
Do you have a favorite movie based on King?
Favorite movie based on King? Oh man, that's hard. I'm just going to go with The Shining. I always enjoyed the even though I know King hated it. The Kubrick Shining was a thing. I watched that one when I was 7. What were my parents thinking?
How about you, Anna?
I think my introduction to King was probably, I'm going to say it's probably similar to a lot of people's. Like, you find a book at your aunt's house or something and nobody's paying attention and you're way too young for it. I think honestly the first one that I picked up in that exact way was the Tommyknockers, which is like the worst introduction to King in terms of writing, because it's like, what the fuck even is this? Like, I don't even remember what the hell is going on in that book, and maybe he doesn't either. But there was something about it that kind of captured me. And then the other one, not too far from that, was I think It. Like, I found a copy of It at some relative's house and started reading it and was like, this is like, I can't, I was maybe like 7 or something. And that's like, what a horrifying age to read like anything from that book specifically. And it freaked me out so much. It took me a very long time to even pick up anything else that he had written, because I didn't even read the whole book. I didn't even read all of it. I mean, I was just like, picked it up and even like, halfway through a chapter type of thing, started reading it. And it was just like, oh my God. So it took me a long time to come back around to reading his stuff. I've been woefully behind on his newer material. I think the most recent thing that he's written that I've read was Joyland. I think that's the most recent of his.
That's a bit ago.
Yeah, it's been a little while. So if he would just maybe stop writing so much or something, like, cool it, like, give me a sec to catch up, 'cause there's a ton that I've missed. But Yeah, that was my first like encounter with King. And then also like when the It miniseries came out, which I was never gonna watch. I mean, I thought I was, never gonna watch it. It was, all over TV, right, for those 2 nights, and there was a lot of lead up to it. And my mom was like, "That fucking clown," like so away from it. But we went shopping for me, school shopping. So I was like maybe 10. I must have been like 9 or 10 years old, I think, when that came out. And we didn't, we shopped at like Rinks, which was like Kmart one step down type of place. And she was buying jeans for me, and she literally found this brand of jeans that had a clown logo, and they were Pennywise jeans because they were low budget. And it was clearly like they had not, nobody had read this book or got it or whatever. She saw them, she picked them up, she looked at the label, she put them back, and she was like, "We're leaving." Like, so yeah, I was like, like, oh my God, like scary clown jeans. But anyways,
Do you think Stephen King bought scary clown jeans for his kids? And that's where the
I
Pennywise
hope
came
so. I think that would be he would do it as a joke, right? Like, "Hey, Tabby, look at these jeans I bought for the kids." It's probably normal in their household, but yeah. And then I don't know, movie. Oh my gosh, there are some really great adaptations for as many times as people have tried to adapt his films and it just is a flaming disaster, or as much as we say like it's so hard to adapt King, I think the one that kind of gets closest without going over is Misery. I think Misery is great, and Stand By Me is pretty close too. And it's great that they're both Rob Reiner joints. I think like he may be the one, until like Mike Flanagan came along, who really sort of understood the stories and translating those to film. But I think Misery is just, it's fantastic.
My own origin story is that I went on a very long car trip with my family when I was 12 to visit family in Maine and Nova Scotia. And somewhere in New Hampshire on the drive, we stopped at some kind of convenience store, I think, and they had like 5 Stephen King novels. And me and my brothers were very bored in the car. So my parents bought all 5 of them, and all 3 of us just sort of like devoured them on the drive between Nova Scotia and ultimately in rural Nova Scotia, where I have cousins. And the 5 were, if I recall correctly, Carrie, The Stand, The Dead Zone, and I don't remember which were the other 2, but those are the 3 that I do remember, because I remember reading the entirety of The Stand on a drive between Bangor and Nova Scotia, which is an endless drive with nothing but trees to look at. And then when we came back to where we lived at the time in Colorado, I went to a bookstore and I bought the rest of the King that we didn't have, that had been published at the time, which was like Night Shift. And I didn't get Salem's Lot until a little bit later, because I got that from a science fiction book club. I couldn't really say what my favorite Stephen King movie is, although I mean on social media last month I said it was Dr. Sleep, which I guess is a good choice. I think it's one of those Stephen King movies that is actually better than the book, because I mean Carrie is much better than the book. the De Palma version, not the Kimberly Pierce version, even though the Kimberly Pierce version has an age-appropriate Carrie. I mean, Sissy Spacek was like 27, 28 when she played that part.
She's very old Carrie.
Yeah, very, very old Carrie. Angela Bettis wasn't a bad Carrie either, but that movie has its own problems. But yeah, Dr. Sleep, I think it really does improve on the book, in part because that's one of King's books that really just like collapses at the end. I mean, it just flies to pieces. I mean, and I think that Flanagan did a pretty good job of reintegrating the mythology at the end of that book. But actually, I think my favorite adaptation of King is probably the version of Grandma that ran on the Twilight Zone in 1985. I mean, the screenplay for that was written by Harlan Ellison, and it came to lay the lumber. It was really, really good. I also discovered that there is an Indian version of that film, or of that story.
Really?
I started watching that. It's like the start of the movie is like that, and I can't remember what the movie is called.
I'm sure you can look it up on Wikipedia if you're an interested party watching this.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to start off a little bit with like a couple of artifacts from King's recent production. I have not read his new novel, Never Flinch, but that's because I'm kind of iffy on the Holly Gibney stories. I liked Holly. I didn't so much like The Outsider.
Okay, so back to Stephen King.
Yeah, what were we talking about when we were so rudely interrupted?
You said you were going to talk about some of the other artifacts of Mr. King's output.
Oh, right. And this is, I mean, we had a conversation about this online a while ago, and that's
yes.
I'm sure that this is reversed for people that are watching this, but this is The End of the World as We Know It. It's an anthology of stories based in the universe of The Stand, and specifically, and this is something that actually bothers me about the collection, is it's specifically set in the universe of the revised Stand, which is set in 1990 rather than 1978.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not own a copy of the revised Stand. My partner has it, but I don't have it because the Stand that I originally read is the paperback edition of the original published one that's only like 870 pages long. Only.
Right. Yeah, I have the old hardback version.
And it's a good anthology. It's chunky. I mean, most anthologies do not run to 700 and some odd pages, and this one does. And there are like 25 authors or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's divided into like 4 different specific sections, which is kind of cool. It's like the first one is it takes place during the initial spread of the Captain Trips, the flu, and then the second one is supposed to be are you going to Boulder? Are you going to Vegas? That kind of thing.
That section, incidentally, is titled "The Long Walk."
Yes, it is.
Which is appropriate to what we'll be discussing today.
And the first one, of course, is Down with the Sickness, which is and then part 3 is after the conclusion of the novel, which is sort of take on the decades that follow, so that it kind of jumps off completely from the original novel, which is sort of cool. And then the 4th one is like all bets are off.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 stories in that one, and they're both just bonkers. So
well, there are a couple of bonkers stories along the way too.
Oh, of course, yeah. Believe me, there's no shortage of bonkersdom.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people who have read the anthology really didn't like the story by Poppy Z. Bright, but I kind of loved it.
I don't remember that one.
It's the one about the mermaid.
Oh yes, right. Yes, the mermaid.
Because it's weird and it's queer and it's really sexual.
Yeah, people didn't. Well,
which I mean, have you never read Poppy Z. Bright?
Right. It's like you kind of know what you're getting into.
Right. Exactly. Because I mean, and I know that Billy wasn't really pleased with the reception, but I think it's a really strong story. You may have to decouple it from your impression of what a story set in the Stand universe is supposed to be, but I like that. I mean, a lot of the stories in the first part of the book, I think, have a certain sameness to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
They did, but I'm also going to say that for me, like the most probably, I guess, commercially friendly, stories are all kind of in line in the first section. They were also some of my favorites, just because I liked them. But starting with the Joe Lansdale, the In a Pig's Eye, starting with that and going down through. I've got my little table of contents here because I'm good like that. Going down through the one in space, the Tim Levin one.
Yeah, that one's really good.
That whole section of stories in there I felt were pretty good. They all kind of ran in little vignettes that ran into each other. I appreciated that.
I was really surprised at how a couple of the stories were actually kind of rhymes of each other.
How so?
Because I mean, the Joe Lansdale story ends with the bad guys being eaten by hogzillas.
Mm-hmm.
And then the S.A. Cosby story in the next section ends with the bad guys being eaten by hogs.
Yep.
and then you have the Hope Boat by Gavino Iglesias, which is a wonderful story. I know that's one of your favorites.
There's two in a row that just rip your heart out, and that's
right. And that's one of them. I mean, just the name of the story should be like a red flag, I think.
Yeah.
And then the Milagros in the next section is basically the same story.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of getting on the boat, the heroine is obliged to drop off of the boat because the crows have followed her.
Mm-hmm. And she's got the chicken. She's
got the chicken. Yeah.
Choco the pet chicken. I remember that one.
So. I mean, I really like getting into the really weird stuff at the
end. the Nat Cassidy at the end, the super lawyer one is bonkers.
I also like the African dog one, which is from the point of view of an African dog in a zoo.
Now you've hit on something that I found interesting about the whole collection. Is because when you're looking at post-apocalyptic movies, fiction, anything like that, you're watching The Stand, you're watching The Walking Dead, that kind of thing, and you always say to yourself, where are the animals? What happened to the animals? And this anthology definitely addresses what happens to the animals.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty great. The my favorite story in the whole collection is one I never want to read again because I was in tears after it was the Jonathan Janz. The story is called Lenora.
Yeah.
It's about a grieving man who finds a reason for living and love again when he is visited by Dik-Dik, which is a little antelope-like creature, I think. But it'll tear your heart out. It's just. I mean, I actually messaged Janz, his real name's Craig, and said, "I love your story so much. I never want to read it again." He said he's heard that a lot and it's high praise. So, and then I read another one of his stories that didn't have anything to do with The Stand, and he had a cat death, and I yelled at him about that. And told him that his cat's name is Arlo. I told him I hoped Arlo had words with him about that one.
Yeah, this is completely sideways. One of the films I went to last week is Die My Love with Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson, and as I understand it, Neon wants to run an Oscar campaign for Jennifer Lawrence for that film. And all I can say to that is that they should save their money because that is going to go nowhere. Because in the middle of that movie, she kills a dog.
Oh no!
And nobody is going to vote for an actress for best actress if they kill a dog in the movie they're up for.
No.
and then they rub your nose in it at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's no. I remember, and just a little quick sideways tangent here. When Good Boy was coming out, and everybody was like, "We are not watching this if you kill the dog."
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So they made it very clear. No, we do not kill the dog. It's okay. You can watch it. Don't we?
Yeah, and the dog in that movie was the director's dog.
Right.
I mean, his own dog. So, you know, that would just be, you know, just beyond the pale. So.
Yeah. But I did appreciate that the fact that this anthology was very animal centric. I mean, there's animals all over it. You know, there's chickens, there's killer pigs, there's nice pigs, there's horses. You know, there's dogs. Nobody seems to like the cats very much. The cats are kind of pictured as the scavengers of the of the whole deal.
Yeah, didn't King identify cats as belonging to the Dark Man in The Stand?
Cats and crows for
Cats and crows, yeah.
Yeah. But I
wolves.
also appreciated. I was telling a friend of mine last night that she said she didn't like The Stand very much because of the heavy Christian, you know, overtones of the whole thing. That was her take on it, and I said, well, I don't think this anthology really does that so much. I mean, it's more sort of, you know, are you going to good, or are you going to evil? You know, good being Boulder and the Abigail's farm, and Vegas being Vegas.
Yeah.
But after you've got those, the other thing I appreciate is after you've got those two stories, the Iglesias and the Jans, that just tear your heart out, then you've got a relatively fun story by Robert Cargill about two video store nerds.
Yeah, they spend the apocalypse sharing, you know, gas station video tapes with this old man that survives.
Yeah. And they are thinking about, you know, picking up and going to Vegas, and then they decide, no, we're cool here. We're just gonna stay right. We're not going to go to Boulder. We're not going to go to Vegas. We're going to stay here. And
also, I mean, along those lines, I also kind of like the one, I think it's by Josh Mallerman, about the deadhead in Iowa, or in Idaho rather, who decides that, you know, Jerry, he finds a finger and he's convinced it's Jerry Garcia's finger, and he wants to take it back to the to you know, the house in Haight-Ashbury to give it back to Jerry Garcia.
I think it's safe to say that this is a very diverse and irreverent anthology. You know, it can get a little samey, as Christiane said, but I think I like the concept overall, and I think everybody had fun with it.
I think it's a really good snapshot of, like, you know, literary horror generally right now, because it's got a lot of, like, you know, heavy hitters, and you know, some writers who are maybe just horror adjacent but need that little shove to make them. I know that Gabino Iglesias' latest book is a horror novel. I know him as a crime novelist. The Devil Take Me Home is the most horrifying crime novel published in the last 5 years.
I need to get that.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a Chicano version of a Jim Thompson novel, and not one of the Jim Thompson novels that ends well.
See. Well, I was going to say just one more thing on the subject of King anthologies, which is that there's another one coming up, and this one is called it's been cleared for publication. It's called Views from the Overlook. And Jamie Flanagan is compiling it. It's got a bunch of writers who have already signed on, including Mr. Mike Flanagan of Dr. Sleep fame, and many other.
That's I mean, you know, siblings doing it for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's nice that we're doing that. But Christopher Golden is on, Alma Katsu, who is fantastic. Brian Keene, who did he do he did the afterword, I think, for that Stand anthology.
Yeah, he did.
And Golden did the preface.
Well, they were co-editors on the project.
Mm-hmm. They were. But so they're going to be participating in this anthology. I have it on good authority that my friend Keelan Patrick Burke is going to contribute a story. So I'm really excited to see that. I love his work. But it's still taking submissions. So any writers out there, they're taking submissions, I believe, until the first week of February. They've got two sections. They've got their pre-authorized people and then they've got a section for new as well, right, which I think is kind of nice.
I'm trying to think of how that kind of anthology would work. When I was thinking about it earlier today, I thought, you know, maybe each writer is going to take a room and tell the story of what happened in that room.
Well, it does say that it's supposed to be set prior to the events of The Shining. So that's kind of thematically, that's what it is. They're not going to be in the same world as The Shining. It's going to be a prequel. Maybe there'll be some kind of after, you know, aftermath of the boiler blowing up or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the Overlook has an afterlife. It makes a cameo appearance in Billy Summers. So, have you read Billy Summers?
A long time ago. It's one of those ones that kind of escapes my memory a bit.
I mean, Billy Summers strikes me as being King's version of Nabokov's Pale Fire. So, I mean, it's got an interesting literary conceit to it. But I mean, ostensibly it's a crime thriller. It's not so much a horror novel, but there's a point where the main character is hiding out with a buddy of his in a cabin in Colorado that is across the valley from the Overlook. And the Overlook is still apparently even up to its old shenanigans after it's burned to the ground. So,
have either of you been to the actual hotel that is featured? I think it's in Stanley.
I have a friend that got married there. I didn't get to go. And I asked her. I mean, did you get married in the Red Rum room?
or in 237 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I used to live in Colorado, and I know that we visited Estes Park at some point when I was a kid, but I don't remember if we went to the Stanley or if we stayed there. So,
cool. Well, that's what I got for literature for the anthology. I mean, I think it's worth it. It's a Simon and Schuster Gallery Books, which is a division of Simon and Schuster. They published it, and it's available pretty much everywhere. So that's my plug.
So now we're going to dive in a little bit to the movies. This has been a pretty good year for King adaptations. There have been 4 of them in theaters. There's also and then there's also been a couple of TV projects as well, but I didn't watch the TV projects, because that's a big investment in time. Also, I didn't like The Institute, so I didn't really want to watch the series. And it's interesting over time how you get to a point where, okay, I'm not liking everything King writes, because when you read them when you're a kid and you're Gen X in like 1982 or so, you think, oh, this is all amazing. And then, he gets off his addictions, and then it's like really hit or miss.
I like that take. I have not heard that take on it before.
I know. I mean, I read something like Bag of Bones or, even Dolores Claiborne, even though I really like that book, and I'm thinking he's writing scared. I think he's really trying to figure out how to write while he's sober. And there's a period in the early 90s where not everything hits. And that continues into like the 2000s, I think, after his accident. So,
oh yeah.
I mean,
I got very meta.
Yes. I mean, you had mentioned backstage that you really didn't like Lacey's story, and neither did I, but that's one of King's favorite books of his own. So,
Wasn't that getting a TV adaptation now?
I think there was one, yeah. I think it was God, I can't remember. I can't remember who played the lead in it. I know that Mare Winningham read the audiobook. So
I mean, I will say that, just last thing on the literature, because I want to hear about the movies here and hear Anna's take on all that. But I pretty much think his kid is knocking it out of the park with books lately. Joe Hill. I loved King Sorrow. I don't know if you read that one. It's like a 800-page.
I have not read that yet. I mean, that just came out though.
Yeah, it's good though. I really liked it, and I liked his short stories, and I loved not Nosferatu or
yeah. Well, 20th Century Ghosts is amazing. I love that. I love that book.
It's a good one.
And I don't know if either of you saw The Black Phone 2, but there is a central image in that, I think, that is taken from Heart-Shaped Box.
No, I haven't seen Black Phone 2 yet, but that's on my list. And
yeah,
that's
then we won't talk about it.
No, that's King adjacent. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, that's King adjacent.
Yeah.
Carry on. I'm going to stop it.
Well, I mean, he had another movie. I mean, Joe Hill had another movie in theaters this year too, Abraham's Boys, which is now on Shudder.
Oh, okay.
that one is less good. I don't think the people that adapted it really did a good job of fleshing that story out. It's what Ambrose Bierce would have called a short story abridged, or a short story padded, rather. So, but yeah, okay. So the first of the King movies that came out this year was The Monkey, and it was directed by Osgood Perkins. And I think we've all seen it, so I think we can dive into it a little bit. I'm because it's very
the movie without laughing.
Where do you start with this movie? I mean, like, okay, so brief synopsis is like these twin boys come into possession of this toy monkey that their father had, and they discovered that winding the key in the back kills someone, either someone close to them or completely, far. There's no, you can't pick and choose, and that becomes the whole like basis for the yeah, that doesn't take requests, exactly. You can't force it.
Thinks that it does.
Exactly. And I love that there is like literally like a good twin and a bad twin. But yeah, like he's obsessed with trying to like, I mean, he gets to a point where it's like, well, eventually it's going to land on the person that I want it to. So I'm going to just keep winding the key, and, who cares about everyone else?
And it just keeps escalating.
And it does. It goes completely like apocalyptic at the end.
It's like Final Destination King style or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was so smart because it's been a long time since I read the original short story, but I don't remember it being funny or like it's pretty straight. I mean, it's as straight as you can make a story about a wind-up toy monkey that kills people. But I think it was so smart to adapt it into like a pitch black comedy because the premise is just ridiculous on its face. So it's like, well, we have to make this silly, we're going to make a very silly movie. We'll play it, we'll tell everybody like, don't wink at the camera or any of that kind of stuff. But those death scenes in it are just like so expertly timed and just so funny because they startle you, it's just like, well, I wasn't really expecting that, or something's going to happen, but then it does, and you're like, holy shit.
And I mean, your first clue that it's going to be a comedy. I mean, you can't not think it's a comedy when Adam Scott shows up.
Right at the beginning. It's like,
that whole
okay.
Sequence is just, I mean, that whole sequence is like Sam Raimi levels of gore slapstick.
So good. And then I love how it ends too, where he's like, he sees the flamethrower, and then he cuts to him in the alley, it's like, die, you son of a bitch, like, just so it's just like, I know exactly what I'm in for, and I know I'm in good hands in this case with this story. I don't know if anybody else could have quite, I don't know, given it that like really twisted comic sensibility. I think it takes a special kind to do that.
I love that Oz Perkins himself was in the movie because he started as an actor, and his character is like, just like an Elvis impersonator uncle, and it's just so wonderful.
It's like and the aunt and uncle are so 70s. It's insane.
Yeah. That whole speech with him like talking to one of the boys on the stairs after the funeral, and he's, talking about how like, well, we've never really been parental. Also, we're swingers. Like he just throws in this, like, just casually
And
Awesome.
he sounds so rational when he's saying it's like, I just want to know we're going to do our best for you boys, but our best isn't going to be good. And he taps him on the shoulder reassuringly.
Like, have a good night, champ. Like,
Yeah, one of the things that I really appreciated about the film is that it just so amplifies the scale of the story, because the story is like, I mean, it's a really like confined sort of story. It's about this one family, and this one just like explodes at the end. It's just completely apocalyptic, as you said. I know that traditionally this particular story is often compared to The Monkey's Paw. I don't think that the movie should be compared to The Monkey's Paw, because it reminds me a little bit of The Reaper, which is a Ray Bradbury story, which is just you know the story. In which you just follow death wandering around, just like mowing people down, and that's just sort of what this story is, even more than like a Final Destination movie. I mean, that scene at the end with the school bus.
First of all, I love that there are just cheerleaders showing up as like they formed this weird little cult, right? Because we know at that point that like people are dropping like flies in this town in all of these freak accidents, and now there's this little cult of cheerleaders when they're taking the body out of the aunt's house,
They're all cheering,
and they're all like, woo! like what the fuck even is that? But it's so hilarious. And then that, what happens to them at the end with the bus and the semi just coming out of nowhere. Like, woo! Oh my god, it was such a breath of fresh air to watch that movie, especially because like I started my October horror movie challenge with Bring Her Back, which is like the most dire film you can start a month of horror movies with. It's like, oh god. And then, I kind of peppered it in with like movies that I'd seen before and tried to find like maybe some thematic, like double feature kind of viewing. So I watched like One Cut of the Dead and then Shaun of the Dead. So we had like kind of some lighthearted zombie things going on. And but there was kind of a streak of like movies that I watched where I was like, there wasn't much joy to be found. And then I watched The Monkey, and it was like so incredible when it gets to that scene where he's talking with his brother on the phone and he's at the motel, and there's like water on the ground and it's like being pumped into the pool, and then there's the AC unit that's just rattling off of the building. It hits the ground, and then it's like he puts it together so fast, like he sees like electricity, water, girl about to jump into the pool, and that whole timing of that scene is so perfect. It's such a great example of how close comedy and horror are. It's really about the timing in so many cases. Like, if the pacing is wrong, it's a disaster. And this is like the example. Like, he sees it, is like, no, wait. And she hits the water. And not only does she doesn't just electrocute, she fucking explodes.
If you've ever gone to the TV Tropes website, I believe they refer to that as artistic license biology.
Yes. That's such a perfect way to put it, because it's like, there is no way. But for that movie and that scene, there's no other way you could have ended it. It couldn't have just been like her hitting the water and like, it has to be like to the nth degree. What can we do? She explodes, and then like her arm, comes flying at the guy, like hits him or whatever.
That scene reminds me of a scene in Thirst, the Australian film, not the Korean film,
Oh,
in which Henry Silva's character falls out of a helicopter and hits like power lines and bounces and then explodes.
it's in the wrong hands, something like that. Like if you're trying to make a serious film and that happens, you've lost the audience at that point. And in this movie, it's such a reinforcement of like, these people got exactly what they were trying to do. And like, it felt so careful and so chaotic at the same time. I almost had to pause the movie at that point because I was laughing so hard. Like I posted on Facebook after I'd watched the movie that there was a scene in it, and I didn't spoil the scene, but I was like, there's a scene in that movie that made me laugh so hard. I think it healed something inside me. Like all of the real world trauma, all of the shit that's going down in our actual daily lives, like escaped my body for just a moment at that scene. And all it took, I guess, was a woman being electrocuted so hard that she exploded.
I mean, who would have expected such a funny movie from Oz Perkins? I mean, his other movies are really glum.
Yeah, like just the very dark, very dour, very and then this was just a joy.
I hope for more of that from him. He's so canny.
I felt like he probably watched a lot of like Evil Dead 2, or with that whole slapstick horror, just one after the other after the other. It had that kind of awesome feel to it.
Yeah.
I know that Theo James is the star of the film, but I think the kid who plays that character as children is uncanny. I don't think that Theo James is nearly as good as the kid. I mean, because I thought that they were two separate actors. I really did.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. For the longest time watching it. And even the second time around, I was like, oh my gosh, he's an incredible young actor to be able to split that role. And I mean, it's because it's the movie of the year for me, it's like Sinners level acting, like what Michael B. Jordan did in Sinners. He created two very distinct people.
I actually think that the kid's performance, and hold on, I wrote down what that kid's name is.
Yeah, I'm looking it up too. Is it Christian Convery?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember, my initial response to that performance was, holy crap, he's doing sort of the sorts of things in his performance that Jeremy Irons did in Dead Ringers. I mean, he's delineating the character with posture and shape. And that's something that Theo James doesn't do.
No,
in his part of the film. And yeah, it's uncanny. I think it's actually a better performance than Michael B. Jordan in Sinners too. I mean, sometimes I lost track of which character was which in Sinners, but I never lost track of which character was which in The Monkey. So
yeah,
that kid was in Cocaine Bear too, by the way. Christian Convery was in Cocaine Bear.
Oh my God, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow. What a career so far.
Yeah.
What a resume.
And then of course you have Tatiana Maslany as the mother, and that's a thankless part that she does something with. I love how she's the instrument through which the film says, maybe death has meaning, maybe life has meaning, or maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Her speech after their babysitter dies, her speech to them in the churchyard, it's like, it's maybe No, not even maybe. It's definitely not age appropriate, but she's not wrong
No,
about
she's not.
anything that she says. You know, she's like, you might die in your sleep, or you might die bound and gagged in a basement. Like, we never know. It's like, okay, true, possibly true. Maybe this was not a conversation for these little shavers. Like, but it was funny when I was rewatching it. My mom was in the room, and after that scene, she was like, "What a terrible mother." And I was like, I'm not going to debate this. I'm just going to keep watching it. But I wanted to say, no, I mean, she's kind of having the conversations with kids that you should have with them at some point. You know, everybody does die. It may not always be pleasant. Just maybe not phrased quite like that, though.
Can't say enough good things about that. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I think my favorite shot, and I know that this is going to be a little bit controversial because it's really on the nose, is of a rider on a pale horse looking at the camera ruefully.
I yeah, I think maybe the movie could have like done without that, but I do think it was like it was
a pretty
really
good
funny.
punchline.
It was a pretty good punchline, and I do love the nod of recognition that Hal, you know, when he sees the writer and they make eye contact, you know, he just is like, you know, like, I respect your work. And then the writer doesn't even like, he just looks at him, but then he just turns away and keeps going. It's not even like, you know, we're the same type of thing. It's just like, okay, and I'm off to continue my work. and so spectacularly, because right after that is when the school bus goes by with the cheerleaders, and then the semi takes them all out. It's just it's another piece of excellent timing in that film. Oh, I loved it. I think out of the four, and I know we this is only the first one that we've discussed, but out of the four King adaptations, I think this is the one that I'll probably watch like again and again. I can see it becoming kind of like a Tucker and Dale kind of movie where it's like, I don't know what to watch. Let's just pull that one off of the shelf type of thing.
It's a comfort movie.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which seems a strange thing to say about a movie that's as gory as this film is.
No, but it is.
I think the second King film of the year is probably going to be a comfort movie to people too. I think, because I mean, that's The Life of Chuck, which is not a horror movie at all. And we were talking a little bit about the Christian mysticism in The Stand, and I think that this is one of those stories that is very much in line with the Christian mysticism you see in a story like The Shawshank Redemption or The Green Mile. And I think that it has that kind of literary ambition as well as cinematic ambition, and it's directed by Mike Flanagan, who we've discussed a little bit, who has been kind of feasting on Stephen King stories, because he made Gerald's Game and Dr. Sleep, and well, obviously this one, but there's another one that I can't remember. No, I think that might be it. Unless you want to count Midnight Mass as King, and I kind of do, because I think it's his version of Salem's Lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, did you see The Life of Chuck, Jenny?
I did not. I'm gonna have to leave it to you guys on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, no, it's fine. I mean, it had Tom Hiddleston, so I should probably see it because I like Tom as an actor. I think he's all right.
Right.
But didn't see that one. Sorry.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston's not really in the film a lot. I mean, he's in the middle section of the film, because the film is in 3 sections. And I mean, this is a film that starts with the end of the world. Everything is running down in the world. The internet is running down. Power systems are running down. And at the end of the first section, the stars start to wink out. And all through, there's this through line of, an advertisement celebrating, great job, Chuck. Here's
Thanks
for
Chuck.
thanks for 37 great years.
Yeah.
And all of the characters are like, who the hell is Chuck? What does Chuck have to do with any of this? And why are we seeing all of this, as things just run down? And then the second part of the film, we meet Chuck. And he is, out and about on a business excursion, and he runs into a street performer who's a drummer, and he takes up the challenge and just dances for the entire segment. And then in the third chapter, and they're counted down. Chapter 3 is at the beginning, chapter 2 is the middle, and chapter 1 is at the end. We see the life of Chuck as a child, and he's living with his grandparents, and those grandparents are played by Mia Sara, and it breaks my brain to think of Mia Sara playing grandmothers.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill, who we will come back to. We see Chuck at school, we see his home life, and we see his ambitions and all of that, and we see him interacting with his teacher, who tells him that everything between his head is his life, and he contains multitudes, per the Walt Whitman poem. And this is very much, I think, sort of a Frank Capra movie. Have either of you read the story?
I have not.
I did, but it was a while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, this is like, the Christian mysticism of every life. I mean, the film that it reminds me of most is the end of the original Incredible Shrinking Man, where you have the character say, I still exist, after he kills the spider, and he shrinks down even more and starts to see the cosmos unfold before him. That's sort of what this film has in mind. So,
yeah, I thought it was incredible. I thought it was a wonderful story, and I understand that the King story is written the same way. It's sorry, Romeo has opinions. But yeah, it's written in the same way, that it starts where it ends. And I have to watch it again, because I loved how much of the things in the first act show up in Chuck's actual life. Like, you can see where things came from, posters or street graffiti, even whole characters, where they actually came from or where they originated in this universe, this whole entire universe. I thought it was a really beautiful story, and I'm so glad that I watched it I mean, it came out this year, but in times like this, it's nice to have these hopeful kind of stories, or things that make you feel a little more connected to the world around you in a positive way, when everything can seem so pessimistic and so fractured, even just amongst people. Realizing how connected we all are. And then I also like the whole, because it is Stephen King, and it's like he can't help but have some kind of little supernatural element going on in there. The whole, like, don't go into this locked door story with his grandparents. And, his grandma is kind of explaining it well. Like, your grandfather thinks that he saw, these things before they actually happened. And they were all kind of contained in this room. So that's the real reason why we keep it locked. Up until that point, it's like, well, we keep it locked because the floors are like caving in or something in this cupola room. And so it's kind of like, are there these ghosts that sort of portend the future, or is it just because Grandpa's an alcoholic? Because that's a whole thing too. And I love how that was handled and how it was incorporated into this story of Chuck, and the universe that he contains. I love that little touch. I loved Mark Hamill in this too, as the grandfather. It's so nice when people give him like real, sort of meaty roles and not just like stunt casting. It's like, oh, we're gonna get like Luke Skywalker in a movie or something. It's like he can actually act.
More often lately, oh, we're gonna get the Joker.
Right. Exactly. And it's wonderful to see him in roles where he can actually embody a character and become that grandfather. It was just, I thought, outstanding. And it was also nice too to see Heather Langenkamp in the film, even though again it was kind of the Mia Sara sort of thing. Like, she should not be playing like this wheelchair bound woman on oxygen or something. Like, she's younger. She's much younger than that, right? Like, it makes us confront our own mortality, I suppose, in that way. But yeah, it's a beautiful film. It might be a hard rewatch though, because there's some emotional charge to it. So, but it's beautiful.
To pile on to poor Heather Langenkamp, I mean, she's also in The Midnight Club, which is one of Flanagan's Netflix series. It's interesting to see how much of an auteurist that Flanagan actually is, because I mean, he's using a lot of the same talent that he's been using, since his beginning. I mean, and he's got sort of a repertory cast that keeps expanding, because Mark Hamill was in The Fall of the House of Usher. Carl Lumbly was in Dr. Sleep. He shows up here. I mean, a lot of the actors are actors that he continues to work with. And I mean, he has a vision of what King can and should be, I think, that is maybe sometimes at odds with, what a studio may want. Because this movie didn't make any money, which is a shame. It's the sort of movie that if it had come out in 1994, it would have wound up on FX and played forever and become very beloved.
Yeah.
But we don't live in that world anymore, so it's kind of destined as kind of a footnote into Mike Flanagan's career, I think. I mean, he's going on to a more commercial version of King, because he's been tapped to do a series version of Carrie
and the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
He owns
and the Dark Tower.
He owns the rights. So
yeah, so he's basically the new Mick Garris, I think.
Well, yeah. He's a lot better than Mick Garris, though.
He is a lot better than Mick Garris. I feel bad. I feel bad for Mick Garris a little bit, because I mean, I know what kind of demands were put on him during the stand. He had no time for setups and no time for reshoots to hit the drop date for that. So that does have sort of an effect. And that was the project that he made right after Psycho 4. So.
All I can remember about poor Mick Garris is the Masters of Horror series, and the behind the scenes for the Ashibike audition, not audition, whatever his imprint or whatever
Imprint.
his was, Imprint, and you could tell that Takashi did not like him. It was like this very obvious, and it rained the whole time, but the second Mick Garris left, it stopped raining. I was like, okay, that's kind of mean. He's not a bad director. He's just,
I mean, he's a perfectly acceptable kind of like TV director, I think.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, because of his friendship with King, got sort of launched into theaters with like stuff like Sleepwalkers, which is a terrible film. It makes me think that maybe King's gifts do not extend to screenwriting. Where was I?
Mick Garris.
Oh, Mick Garris, right.
And film adaptations.
Yeah, he probably should have stayed in television. I mean, he's perfectly adequate to something like the Tommyknockers, which is a terrible miniseries, but is also a terrible book.
It is.
I used to think that The Dark Half was my least favorite King novel, but then I reread the Tommyknockers at some point, and I'm like, oh my god, this is awful.
What is this convoluted mess?
Yeah. I mean, but speaking of The Dark Half, the other two King adaptations are from his Dark Half. Richard Bachman.
Oh yeah.
I really am kind of irked that neither of them actually credited those novels as by the novel by Richard Bachman.
Mm-hmm.
But is Richard Bachman going to put butts in seats? I don't think so. So I kind of get it.
No, and I think too, because the books have been republished now as Stephen King writing as Richard Bachman, in teeny print, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the curtain has been pulled back for so long, I guess. So I suppose that's their out, but I do appreciate that credit in the OG Running Man all the more as a result, like based on the book by Richard Bachman. It's like, yeah, he's not a real guy. Like, that's so cool. Anyways,
I have a short digression. It is sort of related to Richard Bachman because Richard Bachman, or to King actually, because in The Dark Half he names the evil doppelganger George Stark, and he actually called Donald Westlake to ask permission to use the name Stark because Richard Stark is the writer of the Parker novels, which are very much the model for the Alexis Machine books that are in The Dark Half. But I bought the Criterion edition of The Grifters a little while back, and I had forgotten that Donald Westlake had written the screenplay for The Grifters. And there's apparently a story about that. At some point, Stephen Frears went to Donald Westlake and he said, this doesn't feel like a Westlake screenplay. This feels more like a Richard Stark story. And do you think you'd mind if we credited the screenplay to Richard Stark? and Westlake, who had not written a novel as Stark in 18 years at that point, did not want to do that. So he basically says, Stark's not in the Union anymore. But about 2 years after that, Richard Stark started publishing Parker novels again. So I think that maybe Stark wandered back into Westlake's life with the Grifters and stayed there, which is pretty cool. And I think that Richard Bachman wanders back into Stephen King's life from time to time too, because I mean the Regulators is published as by Bachman many years after the gig was up, and then he published what was the book? It was Blaze. That was the other one.
Yeah.
That was published as by Richard Bachman.
Yeah.
So, and there's an essay at the back of Blaze putting Bachman into context. So, and it's a different essay than the one that was originally at the beginning of the Bachman books when they collected the first four. So, I know that you didn't like The Long Walk, Jenny. So we're going to start with you.
I just, okay. To be fair, it is really hard to do a movie where people are just walking and talking because, there's action along the way, obviously, because of the premise of what happens to you when you're in the long walk. If you walk below a certain speed, or if you stop, or for any reason, you are executed. So obviously there's that along the way, and there's relationships that develop between the characters, but it's going to be talky, okay? It's going to be sort of this long, not static, but along stretches of people expounding on their life philosophy and why they're doing the long walk, etc. And that, I guess, that could be interesting, but it's also it just seemed dull to me. I didn't get what the Ray Garrity character was doing. Like he didn't seem to me to be based on any kind of novel or novella version that King wrote. I just didn't. I couldn't make the connection, if that makes any sense, between the original character and this new one. And of course, the ending to me was odd. It's And I will admit, I feel like a complete peasant saying this, like I didn't get it, that kind of thing. But no, I mean, it's like I get it. It was just sort of hard for me to, watch McVrees and not see Andy the android from Alien Romulus, which is what I believe that actor is David Johnson. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just kept seeing, Andy from Alien Romulus, even though he was actually very good at the McVrees role. But sorry, just didn't get it.
How much of that do you think is the result of that being King's first novel?
Well, I don't know. I remember enjoying the story, though, or the first novel. I mean, I did enjoy it. I thought that the post-apocalyptic sort of premise on that, or a world where you have to do this long walk thing. I thought that was a decent premise, but it wasn't really fleshed out very well. And I guess maybe I mean, obviously the screenwriter was not King,
right?
But I felt like maybe they thought the same thing. Or like, oh, this isn't fleshed out well enough. We're just gonna use this as a jumping off point. And I mean, the basic bones of the story were still there, but come to think of it, I think maybe they were a little. They felt like they were a little restricted by the story. Like they couldn't do much else with it, like out of reverence for King. Maybe I don't know. It just didn't seem like it developed much on the story. I think that was my issue. It wasn't a new version.
Well, I mean, I know that King exerts a lot more control over adaptations of his work than he used to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't do anything in a King adaptation without his say so anymore,
Mm-hmm.
which is understandable. I mean, one of the films I watched last month for my October horror movies was the Mangler.
Oh my God!
Which I had never seen it before.
Oh wow!
and
oh my God, that was bad.
Most of the plot points from the story are actually in the movie, but the way that they get around to including them is so clumsy. and they've added this entire different A plot with Robert Englund's character being holding the the economic welfare of the town in his hands, because he controls the devil in the machine that the wealthy elite pay homage to, which is nothing in the story. And all I could think was, man, this is the sort of film that encouraged King to take back a lot of control of his work. The other thing that it struck me as is that Rob Zombie is really just low grade Tobe Hooper. because I mean that film feels a little bit like a high-end Rob Zombie film.
Mhm.
So, but that's a digression. Anyway,
I think that's really all I have to say about The Long Walk. It just wasn't an enjoyable watch for me. It was a slog.
yeah.
You know,
And I know that you really wanted to talk about this, Anna.
yeah, I'd much
Yeah.
rather this take on this.
So The Long Walk, the book is maybe like it's at least top 5 King for me, maybe top 3. There was something about that book when I read it the first time. I don't even know what, but I just really connected to it. And I loved those characters so much. And immediately was like, somebody has to adapt this. And it's going to be hard because it is very talky. It's talky and walky. And that's kind of it. And then punctuated with violence throughout. But it's more character driven than maybe we're kind of used to, at least when we initially kind of associate King. The first thing you think of is just horror and these images, these violent images. And this is not that at all. So it's an unusual kind of bit. I think it's a little unusual for him. But you can tell that he was working out something when he was writing that, his feelings about the Vietnam War, being right in the timeline thick of it, about like these boys who feel they're either conscripted or they feel obligated, or it's their only choice. They don't have another choice. And I do think that's something that the movie fixes about the book, because the book, there isn't really so much reason given. It's voluntary still in the book. It's not even like we're just selecting people at random. Like these guys sign up for it, but there's never really like a distinct motivation for it. And I think the movie at least gives Ray, first he gives the explanation. He's like, it isn't really a choice. When you start taking away people's choices and you sort of box them into this scenario, they may think it's a choice, but it's really not. We're all kind of forced to do this, whether you believe it or not. But it does also give him that like motivation for his wish at the end too, for better or worse. I don't know if we necessarily had to go, that route or whatever. I appreciated it though in the film, because you kind of do have to make those sorts of storytelling changes. My feeling is this is maybe as good of an adaptation as we're going to get for The Long Walk. The ending, part of me, I was kind of like, when I saw that it was going that route at the end, and we're going to change who wins, I was kind of like, oh no, they're going to like happy ending this or something. As much as you can give this a happy ending. But I thought it was an interesting change that they made, because in both stories, Peter is the one that is like, you've got to hold on to hope. You have to hold on to these, like every moment is a new moment, and you just got to get to the next one. You just got to get to the next one. And then he totally like goes against that at the end. He goes against his own, like, he's been motivating Ray this whole time. Like, you've got to do this. You have to get to the end. You have to do this thing. And then he ends up being the one to like he just flies in his own face. But you understand why. Like, he's been I suppose you at some point you get so beaten down, and it's just as grim of an ending. It doesn't feel good that he shot the major. Like there was no cheering or anything. It was just like, oh fuck. Even the most hopeful guy in this whole thing, like he loses it at the end. And it's like, oh, so devastating. So I kind of, I don't want to say I liked how they ended it, but I think it was just as much of a gut punch as the book ending where Ray just never stops walking. The horror of that image alone, I think it'll never leave my brain. Like what if, you're supposed to walk, and somebody figured out it's like 400 plus miles in the book that they actually walk. And he just keeps walking after that. Good God. Like you can stop, and he can't. So incredible. But watching it a second time, it was a lot harder to watch the second time around, because you know what's going to happen, and you know like when it's going to happen, and the ending hit like so much harder for me the second time around. I found it to just be so devastating, but that's what I wanted, out of that adaptation. I want to be emotionally wrecked, just like I was with the book.
The first
I feel kind of cold and heartless now, but go ahead.
That's fine.
No, and some things. No, I get it though, but I understand that it's a hard piece to connect to, because it is pretty dire. It's like, good God, they're just walking and talking.
Well, and the other thing too is, I mean, I felt like the character of the Major, Mark Hamill, playing the Major, was very cartoony. That's one of the things we were talking about, getting Mark Hamill for a role. I did not think that was a meaty role for him. I felt like that was a cartoon villain. This one I didn't care for him as much in this role. It felt like stunt casty, or we're gonna get like, it was Joker casting. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier.
And and he's
I have thoughts about that, because one of the things that I walked away from the film with was, I no longer know what counts as a cartoon villain, because I live in the United States in 2025.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Trump is Pete Hegseth, or the Major is Pete Hegseth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he is absolutely, high in the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that really struck me in the actual image of the film, rather than in the text of the script, is its depiction of a nation in collapse. I mean, you're walking through, these devastated rural areas, and they remind me a little bit of like, the photography from the Great Depression by like Walker Evans or Margaret Bourke White. I mean, it is a portrait of collapse, and again, I live in Missouri and occasionally drive through southern Missouri. It looks just like that.
Yeah, I was going to say there's parts of rural Ohio and Indiana that it's like I couldn't distinguish that from this.
And the emphasis, particularly in the speech that the Major gives about how the walkers have all demonstrated that they've got sack. That is absolutely the same sort of rhetoric I see surrounding like ICE recruitment.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a portrait of toxic masculinity ascendant over the population. And
we've been seeing it on the streets of Chicago a lot lately.
So there you go. Yes, you have. Yeah.
So I can't tell. Is the Major a cartoon? I actually don't think he is. I think that he is a portrait of the moment when this film came out.
Mhm.
That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah,
This
it
is why I
almost
need you.
it does feel uh too timely, you know. There were moments when I saw it in the theater that I was like, I don't know if I can handle this because this feels way more relevant than it should. I mean, from the source material though, but I had reread the book. I actually listened to the audiobook. It, it was about a year exactly from when the movie came out. I listened to the audiobook. So it was like, it was still hot out. It was like August, I think, or no, it would have been before that, but um, late summer. And I listened to it while walking at work. I would like on my lunch break in like sweltering heat listening to this book. And part of it was a challenge that our mutual friend Fawn had put out, like read The Long Walk during, while walking. And of course it's like midsummer or something. So it's like fucking miserable listening to this. But I forgot where I was going with this point, but I no, even like listening to it a year ago, it didn't connect as being too timely. It felt a little time capsule a year ago. And then watching the movie this year was like, oh no, no. This was like both timely for the Vietnam War, and unfortunately, it's still timely now and too real. So yeah, that was a tough watch in the theater. Really a tough watch. I felt safer at home, even though it was harder somehow to watch at home. I felt safer at home because I thought I can pause it, I can just tap out a bit and, take a powder. But yeah, I think that's a good point because, yeah, Hamill does seem on the surface a little like all the sack talk. Like that word is like, that's a record for that for that in one movie. It's got to be a record of like, sack up, gentlemen. Like just good God. But yeah, I actually had almost the same thought as you, Christy. I think it was yesterday when I was like getting ready. Um, I was like, holy shit, this had to have been like the same speech that Hesketh gave all of those generals. Like, we're going to pull every top person in our military into one place because that's not a security issue. And then I'm going to give them basically, that's what I imagine his speech was, sack up, ladies, like no beards because we don't like black men and whatever other bullshit he spewed. So
it has always fascinated me that two of the four Bachman books that were originally collected into that big collection when he was outed are about game shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have a game show host for a president. How prescient, how fucking prescient is that?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You talked about things being too on the nose with the pale rider at the end of The Monkey. Life feels too on the nose now. It's like, fuck me.
I mean, when he was first elected, I thought, okay, so we've got Greg Stilson.
Yeah, we thought.
but no, in fact, we have the Major from The Long Walk, and we have Killian from The Running Man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Stephen King is prophet.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
Again,
plus,
this is
plus,
why.
Plus, of course, the pandemic is Captain Trips. So
Yep.
Yeah.
we live
Again,
Stephen, what have you done?
we live in Stephen King's America.
I I reiterate my point from the beginning. Stephen King, stop writing. Not just so I can catch up, but also just stop that. This is like the Kids in the Hall sketch when they discover the cause of cancer, and it turns out it's one of the guys in the troupe.
Oh God.
He's like, I'm sorry I caused all that cancer. This is that. It's like, Stephen King, stop that. Like,
So that story he wrote in the 80s, The Word Processor of the Gods, was actually, autobiography.
Oh no.
yeah, I think so. That was him. He's like, just gonna
hit the delete, Stephen. Hit the delete.
Right. Escape. Thanks a lot, Stephen King. Well,
that brings us to the Running Man, doesn't it?
Yeah. So speaking of game shows,
I did not get to watch the new one yet. So, but I do want to hear what you have to say about that. I did watch the wonderfully trashy old one.
Well, this is wonderfully trashy in different ways.
Excellent.
For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger is on the money in the new one.
Oh my God, like
so good.
On the dollar bill.
Yeah, he is on the.
Yeah,
he's on
like the 100. He's on the $100 new dollar. Yeah. It's so beautiful. We
they did not get rid of the jumpsuits. They did not get rid of the dancers on the stage. I mean, it is just as tacky as the original item. And I think they did that deliberately. I think, of course, they did that deliberately. I think that they kind of had to do that sort of thing because there's no fucking way they were going to end that movie the way they ended the way King ended the book.
No, I don't think we'll ever get that version. I don't believe we'll ever get that, and I desperately want it. I love the OG Running Man, the Arnie Running Man, and I really enjoyed the Edgar Wright one. But I kind of want to see a more book accurate one. I don't think you can do it.
You can't.
It's too much.
I'll tell you what you should do if you want the ending of the book, and it's sort of similar. Is there was a spin-off of the X-Files about the lone gunman, and and in the very first episode of that series, which didn't last very long, it went like 13 episodes, I think. In the very first episode, the plot that they discover is a plot to crash a plane into the World Trade Center.
Oh wow, yeah.
And the rest of the episode is them trying to prevent this.
Yeah.
This was like I don't know, like maybe 2 years before 9/11. It's creepy.
Oh wow,
it's super creepy.
Oh yeah. That I think is the big reason. They're always going to have to kind of maybe not softball the ending, because I think this one at least does give you.
It gets close. It gets about as close as they can.
That's what I thought too. The way that they ended it was as good as we can expect.
Yeah, I mean, and they 9/11, and they sort of incorporated the ending of the Arnold Schwarzenegger film too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does sort of the same surgery on the source material in the movie version that Dr. Sleep does with The Shining in the novel.
Yeah.
So I was hoping a little bit more for an Edgar Wright movie. And it doesn't feel like an Edgar Wright movie. I mean, there were points where I thought, this feels like the original film. Who directed the original film? Paul Michael Glaser?
Yeah. What? Like Hutch or Starsky?
No, I think he was Starsky. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because David Soul, I think, was Hutch.
Oh, right. Okay.
So,
which is a weird nugget on its own. Like what?
Which it makes me wonder how much of the shape of the current film comes from studio notes.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't feel too Edgar Wright-y or Wright-esque.
really the only part of the film that felt like an Edgar Wright movie were the scenes that were in Michael Cera's house.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the character of his mom comes from. I mean, that seems like an Edgar Wright character, and Wright's character himself seems like an Edgar Wright character. But everything around it seems like a generic action film.
Yeah, it does. I think maybe the only other touch was there was a scene where the bullets were timed with the music, as it were. So there was some Baby Driver kind of feel to that, but it wasn't so permeant,
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that's kind of immune to studio notes because it's not story.
Right.
I mean, there's I love going on digressions. So here's another one. One of the joys of doing research on the classic era of horror movies, like the Universal films, is reading the studio notes that James Whale sent to the censor board, to the Hayes office, because he was pointing things out in the script that he had chosen that he knew that he was going to sacrifice in order to keep the things that he really, really wanted. And moreover, he left out the stuff that was purely visual. All the Hayes office looked at was the screenplay. They didn't look at the visuals. Which is how you get, the crucifixion imagery in The Bride of Frankenstein, where he's hoisted up by the angry villagers. That's how you get, all of the visual weird stuff that's in that movie. It's because Whale was crafty in how he just he knew that censors don't look at the visuals, they just look at the script. And I think that's actually sort of what happened with The Running Man. I think that Wright was playing that game.
The early Universal joint.
Yeah, I think maybe he gave away too much, is how I concluded that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this feels like a Trump era movie. This feels like it's about right now. I know that some of the complaints I've seen in the negative reviews of the film have been it doesn't spend enough time on world building. And I'm like, it doesn't need to. All it needs to do is point the camera around the country.
Yeah, I think you got enough of what was going on in just the opening, before he leaves the house. Yeah. That's enough information. We don't need to know more. Times are desperate and shit sucks.
And the scene between him and his ex-boss, who's played by David Zayas, I think. I mean, that seems very much of the present moment, where he's he's trying to improve the lives of his fellow coworkers, and he's fired for it.
Yeah.
There's radiation. I mean, of course I'm trying to help. It's no, you're trying to create a union.
Yeah.
And then the game show host, played by Coleman Domingo, is Bobby T is his name. When they're describing him to villainize him to the population, says he's a communist union organizer. And this is oh my God, this is so on the nose for right now. I mean, I noticed that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that Amazon is having some union problems because the union that has unionized a bunch of their stores is gonna go on a strike on their busiest day of their year. So, and Amazon been Amazon for the last 10 years has been just. Oh no, it's not Amazon. It's Starbucks.
Yeah.
But same. Same. Yeah, but they've been trying to villainize their attempts to unionize for a decade. I mean, using practically the same rhetoric as you get in this film. So yeah.
And then there's the whole deep fake aspect, right?
Yeah.
Which that in the original film they did doctor the footage and all of that. Yeah, but now the technology has advanced so much. No, but again, like that whole aspect of the film, like how much they were able to, and within like what, like a couple minutes delay or something, it took them almost no time to create like a whole new video of him, like
Yeah.
at the end in particular, like his whole, he thinks he's live on the air, so he gives like this whole screed about, like sticking it to the man basically. And then,
Yeah.
Killian comes on, he's like, by the way, we cut you like 2 minutes ago. Like after you said this phrase, like we changed the video. And it's, you on this crazy ass rant or whatever. And it's like, fuck, you can't like stay ahead of it. And that's how it feels right now, is like, it's like screaming into the void about AI and deepfakes and how dangerous all of this stuff really is. It's like,
Yeah.
you just can't, there's no way to stay ahead of it. That doesn't mean that you give in to it, but it's just like, stay vigilant, but yeah, that whole aspect of the film was like, too real.
Yeah. But again, this is a movie about the present. It's not about the future.
Yeah.
But
Well, the book.
If you look at the original story, I mean, it's I was sort of checking my little copy of the book here. In the new movie, it says they got $1,000. They started out with $1,000. In the book, it's 48,000. So inflation kind of went the other way.
That's kind of what happened to. That's what happened to like wealth inequality.
Yep, there you go. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I just thought that was.
Yeah, people are actually more desperate than they were in 1978 when the book was published.
I know, it's interesting, right?
Anyway. I did think it
thanks,
was
Ronald Reagan.
I did think it was funny though. The original book is set in 2025.
Yeah,
like
it is.
I had forgotten that, but I grabbed a copy of it because I was like, I've got to reread the book. Not with enough time to finish it for this discussion, but it was like,
that book is a really fast read too, because it's just like nothing but plot.
Is.
Yeah, it's just like an action. It's just straight up
action. It really does play out that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the other complaints that I've seen about the film is that it's just nothing but action. Action, wall to wall. It doesn't spend time on anything. That's really accurate to the adaptation. I mean, it's really accurate to the book.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I remember, and I'm excited to get back into it, but yeah, it is. It's all just movement. It's just, I mean, you can't. What are you going to stop for? Like, if you stop, I mean, thinking of like the story, like he's not going to have time to pause to essentially discuss things or have a relationship or to like expound upon whatever. It's like you just go, which is such a good.
Is for. Sorry. But I was just going to say one of the little details is that they can travel anywhere in the world to escape. And I was like, in this day and age, and if they wanted to travel like over to say Europe, where they think that everything in America is horrific, maybe he might have had a better fighting chance. So, and also he'd be on a plane for 7 hours, and that's
Yeah. Well, he does try to get to Canada in the movie.
Well, there you go.
So, I thought that the woman that is like sort of his hostage at the end is an interesting addition to the story, because I mean she's very much the affluent middle class that still exists, and she's absolutely convinced that people in the lower classes like Ben Richards is there to terrorize them or take her job or whatever and reduce her quality of life. And it's fun watching her have her eyes opened when the instrumentality of the network turns its eye on her, and she discovers just how much she's been lied to. So.
Yeah, I love that bit, which I do remember that from the original story in terms of that character existing in the original book. Like he hijacks her vehicle and takes her along, but it's so different, and especially when you get to the end and it's like the YouTube video, the apostle or the who's like like, hold up, let me explain what really happened. And then you find that like she's the one who finds the black box from the plane, and like she's like her whole like look has changed too. She's like into the revolution now, right? Like
Right.
she's not wearing like her nice like, you know, two-piece suit and little scarf and stuff. It's like she's like in a tank top and a head wrap and stuff, and she's like, you know, fucking
Can we
into it.
can we talk a little bit about how they've queered the story?
Yeah, go nuts.
Because
I mean,
Katie O'Brien is like, you know, very dear to my queer little heart.
yes.
And I absolutely love her character. I think she's a moron in the movie, but I love her character.
No, and I love that you know, when the apostle is like explaining that they need 3 characters who fit these types, right? And you got a little bit of that ahead of time when they're going through the screening process and everything, and she's like, she's gung ho from the start. She's like, hell yeah, I'm gonna have the best time. Like, give me money and all of this. And then later, when you see her, like, she's in the casino with her nudie suit on, which I thought was incredible, first of all, yay. And then just surrounded by like scantily clad women, just like rolling dice and stuff, like, woo, come and get me. Like, it was just so outstanding.
And then she takes off
that.
in that pink car.
Yes. That like pink Barbie Ferrari looking thing.
I mean, she's like queer Barbie is like, you know, yes. Queer dystopian Barbie. It's awesome.
Yes, this Barbie is a Running Man. Like oh God, her character was so incredible. I liked this movie more than I thought I would. I really enjoyed.
I'm enjoying my reaction to the movie a little bit better now that I've had a chance to talk to it with somebody.
I think that helps too.
Yeah. Because I mean, my initial feeling was a little bit disappointment, because I'm like, oh, I'd like to see an Edgar Wright version of The Running Man, and I don't really think that that's what I got. But that is actually, you know, one of the first sins of movie criticism is criticizing the movie you wanted rather than the movie you want than the movie you have.
Yeah, you got.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of that around the new Frankenstein. So
yeah, which I have not seen yet, but yeah, I've read a lot of the discourse, and I'm like,
I scream.
The kid from the monkey, it was the Christian Convery is also in Frankenstein, by the way.
Oh,
of course he is.
Connection. But I was going to say with regarding your reaction to The Running Man, I laughed when you very delightedly said they kept it trashy.
They did. It's so tacky.
It is tacky and trashy. Yes.
Yeah, they kept it tacky.
I'm guessing Romeo agrees on that. Yes, very trashy and tacky.
Yeah, he's all for tackiness. It's almost at the time of the year when we get to bling him out with his little sweater and McGruff the crime dog.
Oh yes. Ooh, I love it.
Who's your new feline companion? That's a different one, isn't it?
Yes, this is Schnitzel. And
hello, Schnitzel.
Oh my God, I love the name.
He doesn't want to be held, but he's just sort of sitting over here. Schnitzel. You haven't met Pie Crust yet. Pie Crust is sometimes comes over.
Pie Crust. These are great names. I'm so like in love with.
I have 5 of them, so.
Yeah, oh my goodness!
I mean, my cats have not made an appearance. The one that was likely to make an appearance is Maddox, who came to us named. If it was up to me, I would have named him Fredo, because he gets into a lot of stuff, and that way I can look at him and say, "I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart."
Just grab him by his little face. I knew it was you.
and then kiss him and send him off on the lake.
Mwah. Goodbye. I really I don't know how I feel about Glenn Powell so much. I don't think he's
not bad.
He was fine. He was fine. He filled the role.
My take on Glenn Powell is he's a perfectly serviceable actor, but he does not have the it quality of a movie star.
No.
And I've been watching how filmmakers have been trying to make a movie star out of him with like Twisters and Top Gun,
Yeah.
and that movie he made with Sydney Sweeney, which would have been a great movie if it had two different actors in it, I think.
Yeah.
So, but he's fine. I've been trying to figure out why Richard Linklater's Hitman kind of fell flat for me, and I think it was him.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
you have him in a towel, and I'm down with that, I guess.
I have no complaints about that scene in particular. I wish we had gotten to see a little more when the towel like slips away. It was like, oh, but
and he's dangling from the Y.
Yeah, he's hanging down like a little more, please. But that's okay. Ratings and all that, whatever. But I think the surrounding cast was great. Katie O'Brien, we talked about. I really like. I actually forgot that Lee Pace was in the movie. I saw his name in the credits and I was like, ooh, Lee Pace. And I was all excited. And then I got swept away by the movie. And
then you forget that he's there. Yeah.
And I forgot that he was there the whole time. Literally, like he's there, or at least, his character is in the periphery. And then when he peels off the mask, I was like, Lee Pace is in this? Like, my brain completely like severed ties from an hour and a half prior. Like it's just like, wow. He was great as Evan McCone. I really liked him. And I don't remember in the book, Evan McCone was not like a masked guy, was he? He was just like a hunter, right? There was no hiding his identity. It was like people knew who he was and could see, knew his face, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
In the book?
I haven't read the book in Mumble years. So.
I'll find out in about a week when I finally end up finishing it. I'll report back on that, I guess. But I liked that touch too, where it was like, oh, like you can't stay masked forever. This is one of my conditions. Like,
right.
You peel it off and then it's like hotly pace. Like, oh man. But yeah, I really enjoyed the surrounding cast. Even the guy who was the other runner. He's taken out pretty quickly, but that guy was super entertaining.
He's the dumbass, the archetype.
Right. Yeah. They have like the dipshit, and then like the party animal, and then the
and then the final dude.
The real final dude, right? Who's sort of the real contender if he can keep the ratings up. But yeah, I love that guy who's like, so have you ever seen The Running Man? It's like trying to hit on a barista or whatever. And it's like, are you a fucking moron? Yes. But yeah, I really enjoyed the cast. I kind of got lost a little bit though when they did show up to Michael Cera's character's house. I was like, this is maybe getting a little, it's a silly movie. Okay. It kind of went into like, it's a little too silly with like the booby traps and the like escape hatches and then like the fire pole in the bat pole in the shower and stuff. I was like, it almost lost me a little bit there, although that was very fun sequence. And we were laughing a lot and it was kind of delightful, but in the terms of like the overall story, I was like, kind of like getting it's a little too much, like pull back a little bit. But other than that, and the actress who I cannot think of her name, but who played his mom, I know she was in Hitchhikers. She was in the OG BBC. Yeah.
She's got that little high pitched voice.
Yes, which is so perfect. Mm-hmm. That really grating kind of like, come watch the TV, like this. Oh my God. She just sounds like a klaxon. Like it's just so.
Come here and kill her.
Oh,
he's here. It's Richards. He's here. Come kill him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I kind of feel the same way after seeing the movie. I wasn't quite sure, but now that I'm talking about it, I feel like I have like we've got to get together or something and watch this in person.
Oh yeah,
I think it's the kind of movie that you sort
yeah.
of like.
It's an orphan movie.
Still like
That's
top theater
and I should
experience.
explain that to Jenny. It's an inside joke. We saw
Yeah.
Orphan together.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, in the theater,
Mhm.
and we were cackling like hyenas through the entire thing when it just got weirder and weirder and just went over the cliff.
Mhm.
my
Neither of us
favorite.
is gonna swear that Orphan is a good movie, but it's all about the experience.
Mhm.
I think my
Definitely.
favorite thing was like how dead silent the rest of the
The
theater
entire rest of the
was.
theater was like, who are these
like,
morons that are just laughing at all of this stuff?
like people looking over their seats, like like just horrified at us. And I mean, it was like, like the end of Death Becomes Her when
Yeah.
they're at the funeral, and it's like Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep just like
Yeah,
just
they're just cackling.
that was us. That in like the most somber kind of setting. Oh my God. That was peak. No theater experience is ever going to be as good as that.
Yeah, I
But
miss
this is
going.
that
I miss going to theaters with friends. I really do.
I do too. I've
Mhm.
done too much solo theater going. This when I went to see The Running Man, I did go with a friend from college that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And we were laughing quite a bit at parts that nobody else was. Um so I mean it was a very weak tea version of that. But it did kind of reignite that feeling of like, got to do this more often.
Yeah.
It's a joy to see those kinds of movies with at least one other person that kind of gets it.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Mhm.
I
I miss our movie nights when I was in college in Columbia, Missouri, and or just sitting around Big Lizard, just picking something to watch. that
Yeah.
was that was always fun.
we had a lot of customers like that.
Yeah.
And we always had the TV running, so they could just come plop in and see whatever the hell we were watching, and it was always something, just like completely weird.
Well, I remember Darren allowing me to, like, he had to run out for something and I happened to be there. He's like, "Oh, can you watch the counter?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then he comes back and he's like, "I see you're playing Carnosaur to the street." I was like, "Okay." 'Cause
Why?
there was always a TV that would the TV that the people could like walk by and see what was playing.
Here's the thing.
I
Why
wasn't even
wouldn't
playing.
I?
I'm not gonna play the Teletubbies, dude. I mean, Carnosaur.
That kind of makes me
If
want to
if
get like a TV for my bedroom window faces the street, and now it's like, oh shit, I should get a TV to put in the window and just,
yeah,
yeah, play shit like Carnosaur or Orphan.
given where I live, what I would like is like I have a projector, and I've been thinking about projecting things into my backyard. And
Yes.
given where I live, I am tempted, but also aware enough not to project. If footmen tire you, what will horses do onto the backyard?
Oh, come on. You only live once.
Oh man.
I think it's time to wrap this up.
All right.
All right.
We've been talking for 2 hours, so that's gonna be
Woo.
some editing.
Yes.
Um,
Thanks, but I love talking about horror, and I'm grateful that I finally got asked to discuss it, even though I hadn't seen half the movies.
that's all right. I
It's
mean,
fine. I didn't read the book.
you read the book
So,
though.
yeah, it balanced, I think,
Yeah.
really well.
I mean, I haven't read the actual King novels that we're discussing, in a while. I think the last one that I read was, well, no, that's not true. I did reread The Monkey after I saw the film.
Mhm.
But I mean, before that, I read The Life of Chuck when that book came out. That's in If It Bleeds.
Mhm.
If anybody wants to read the story, and it's a really good story. It's really similar to the movie. But I haven't read either of the Bachman books since
I think that the monkey is Skeleton Crew, right?
The Monkeys
Yeah.
and Skeleton Crew, yeah.
Yes.
And then the two Bachman novels are. I mean, actually, I think they're available individually now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they were in that big collection of Bachman books. But they had to rejigger that when King took Rage off the market.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably right to do that.
Yeah, that is one case where I think that was a really smart move on his part. Like, and his rationale was, he's like, we don't need this. This is not a necessary story anymore.
Yeah, and
like,
I understand the
that.
shock of that book being in the collection of multiple mass school shooters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was responsible on his part. And I know that a lot of people have said, well, this is censorship, this is being woke. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's being responsible. I mean,
yeah. And I think, that's maybe the key part of that argument that people are missing is like, it's not a publishing house that decided to stop printing it. It's not a corporation or any other entity. It was the author himself saying, let's just not. So that's totally different.
But anyway, I'm going to stop recording now and we can chat on the outro. Thank you both for coming, and
thanks for having us.
We will do this again.
Sounds like fun.